Did you know that for this movie, the rocky roads surrounding Dawson's Beach, where Julie, Ray, Helen, and Barry have their hit and run, and later Julie travels across frequently, is the same mountainous road location used in the classic Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a classic 90's movie that has gained cult status over the years, and I do have to admit I never actually saw this movie when it came out originally, and it took me years before I saw it. I just saw it for the first time last month to get prepared for the sequel. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to this movie. I'd heard about it here and there for years, and I just never saw it for some reason. But I finally got to see it, and I enjoyed it. I know that it was definitely trying to ride on the success of Scream, because Scream came out the year before, so there's a lot of similarities to it, but there's a lot of differences as well. And I want to talk about how this movie really does stand out from, trying to be like Scream. I mean, yes, it does try to be like Scream at times. The writing's very similar, but it has so many great things that creates its own experience. And I have a lot of great things to say about this movie and how it does that. But there are a couple things in this movie that I didn't like, but I'll save those for the end. First thing I liked about this movie is the story and the characters. The story, pretty straightforward, but I like the stakes that are set right away. I like the guilt. I like the banding together, and you can't tell anybody, and just the dangers of secrets and the repercussions of keeping such secrets that you can see throughout the course of the movie. And just the characters, these certain kinds of horror movies, these characters have gone down in movie history. Everybody knows who Julie is. Everybody knows who the fisherman is. Everyone knows about these big actors who this was like their starting role. So the characters, they all have their different personalities. They all have all their different reasons and their backgrounds and all that. And it all plays into the overall story. Of course, it does kind of play off the trope of one of the people in that friend group usually has political ties, has rich family, whatever, then everyone else is kind of just fending for themselves. They had to work hard in life, they don't get everything on a silver platter, that sort of thing. But like it is with a lot of horror movies like this, it still adds great intrigue, it still adds a lot of fun. Yeah, and then it goes into my favorite character of this movie, which is the fisherman. I like the lore surrounding him. I think the lore is actually pretty strong when it comes to the fisherman. It's also that kind of the classic whodunit type thing, like who is it? Everyone has a guess. Who's the fisherman? They always think they have the right person, and then it turns out they don't. Then the mystery continues on. I never get tired of that aspect to these specific kinds of horror movies where you're always trying to figure out who the mysterious killer is. The longer it takes for you to figure it out, the more people die. And then there's some big plot twists. This movie has some great plot twists as well. It takes a little bit of inspiration from Scream. A lot of thing that hangs on Scream is, who is Ghostface? Well, now everyone wants to know who's the fisherman. But the fisherman is very different from Ghostface. The fisherman was created very differently from Ghostface. So the lore surrounding it that everyone knows, small town, and then you got someone who embodies just the idea of the fisherman, and that's what makes him such a powerful entity, really, in this movie, with a killer fisherman's hook. I mean, just the look of the fisherman is really cool. Just the black slicker hiding his face, the giant hook. You can't ask for a better killer in a movie like this. And then you get some good kills in there. You get some pretty brutal kills. This movie doesn't shy away from the brutality. Wouldn't expect it to. Before I get into what I didn't like, drop in the comments below, what is your favorite horror movie from the 90's? Now, what I didn't like. First thing I didn't like about this movie is I felt like the pacing was all over the place at times, but really where I think it suffered the most was there are certain points in the movie it was really slow. Like, they were establishing certain things, but other times I didn't feel like there was much going on with the story. And we were kind of just dragging the story along to get to the next big thing, but there wasn't a whole lot of substance. At certain points in the movie, I'd say like somewhere in the middle of the movie towards near the end, wasn't a whole lot of substance there. So it would slow down tremendously, to me, at least to me it did. And it kind of took me off for a little bit, and then I jumped back in once kind of the excitement got picking up again with the fisherman killing people again. So the pace was pretty slow at times. Then One thing I was really hoping from this movie was jump scares, and there's really not any jump scares in this movie. There's like brutal killings, yes, but there's nothing that builds the tension up really and just like scares the crap out of you. Like with Ghostface, there are some really great jump scares. This movie just doesn't have that level of tension and jump scares that Scream does. Like I said, I know it's the same writers. I know he's trying for a little something different, but I still would prefer some jump scares. That would have made the movie a little stronger, in my opinion. But with all that being said, this movie is just a fun movie to watch. Cult classic, great 90s horror movie. It's a certain aesthetic that you just can't help but watch it over and over and over again. I really do want to get into the whole franchise of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know there's a few movies that it has. I've only watched the original and I just watched the sequel. So I definitely want to get into those and get a little more understanding of this franchise because I know there's going to be more of these movies on the way in the future. So for I Know What You Did Last Summer, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 Mudflaps. And remember to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. See you soon.